I believe in Sober Ood.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, Sober Ood.
Sober Ood has got this shit on lock.
Warning, this podcast contains violence, sexuality, gore, and other horrible and disturbing things. Listener discretion is advised. Also, be aware that the hosts of this venture are ignorant dipshits, so please do not take anything they say as fact. And enjoy the show.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
The atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand.
It is our basic human right to be fuck up.
A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The defendant shall be incarcerated for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Because it's coming to the end of a recording session and we're all a bit tired and we're all a bit...
I'm not tired.
No?
No, because I'm going to go home and get laid, so I'm very, very excited.
I'm going to go home and get in trouble with Mr. Sage Murray.
For not starting the
For
dishwasher.
not starting the dishwasher. He's mad at me.
Or feeding your child.
I didn't feed my child either. I gave him some chocolate eggs from Easter.
Yeah, Mr. Sage Murray, everybody has their lapses in judgment. At least a dozen times since the start of the year, I've gone to work when my nice hot coffee is sitting on the counter at home.
That's different than a child.
That hurts no one but you.
I know, but I love me.
Sorry, Mr. Sage Murray, I love you.
It's all good.
So, what's your poison?
Can you bring the apple cans that are in the fridge, pretty please, with sugar on top? Pretty please with sugar on top, you beautiful woman.
Love you, Daniel.
3 apples down in front of you, like, deal with it.
Yeah, so our poison for today is Jack Daniel's Jack Apple Country Cocktail.
I still need to finish the rest of Leon's Di Serono. I'm going to make sure that my friend Dante is...
That's about half.
Oh, you guys.
I know, right?
I've got, like, all these cups and drinks and...
Yeah, you're double fisting it already.
I am. As I do.
I don't know, I don't know if I'm a little bit drunk already, but I can barely taste the alcohol in that.
I don't like it.
No?
I'm just going to be drinking all of your drinks tonight.
Yeah, because the problem is I can't, like, it's the worst part of apple, it's the worst part of Jack.
I like it.
The root beer we had last time was fantastic. I don't want it. Sage, you can have the rest of mine.
Sweet.
Yeah, it tastes a little bit artificial.
Ah.
Yeah, it tastes kind of like a Jolly Rancher, like an apple Jolly Rancher.
No, yeah, it does.
It does.
Yeah, it tastes more like apple flavoring than apple.
I don't like rye.
Yeah?
And I can taste there's a rye aftertaste to it that I really don't quite enjoy.
Well, it's the JD that you don't like then.
Yeah.
You don't blame the apples, blame the Jack.
So it kind of tastes like shitty artificial apple juice mixed with, I don't know, I've never been a fan of Jack Daniels, so it's kind of shittiest whiskey, and I don't know, the result isn't all that good. I don't know, it's still smooth, like it's not disgusting, but
it's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10.
4.
0.
Alrighty.
Our coverage continues this noontime in the Michelle Carter trial in Taunton. Opening statements underway just this morning. Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado is in Taunton with the latest developments.
Opening statements got underway in the Michelle Carter manslaughter trial this morning. The prosecution saying that she is responsible for the death of her boyfriend, Conrad Roy III, back in 2014. Roy killed himself in Fairhaven by using a generator to fill his truck with carbon monoxide. The prosecution showing text messages during opening statements that show Michelle Carter was texting Conrad Roy, trying to convince him to kill himself back in 2014, even telling him to get back in his car during the suicide attempt when he was trying to get out.
Conrad got out of his truck as he was being poisoned, and he got scared. And the defendant told him to get back in.
Now, the defense paints a different picture. They show text messages from 2012 where Michelle Carter was trying to convince Conrad Roy not to kill himself when he was having suicidal thoughts and, in fact, had a suicide attempt in 2012.
The evidence will show at times through the texting, Conrad Roy even acknowledges that Michelle doesn't have influence over her. And the evidence of the texting is overwhelming that Conrad Roy was on this path to take his own life for years.
So this episode, we are talking about the Michelle Carter texting suicide case.
Ooh, I'm so excited for this one.
Yeah, and this one is quite polarizing, surprisingly. I thought a lot of people had the same opinion as I did, which was like, oh, of course she deserves to be punished. But there are support groups and people who will defend her tooth and nail all over the internet.
I'm kind of a fence sitter, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, well, we'll go through the arguments for both sides eventually, and I also got the major parts of the text log, which we're going to read through, so hopefully we can try to determine whether we think she was punished aptly or not.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so just a little backstory on both the man that took his own life and the woman that encouraged him to do so.
Right.
So Conrad Roy was actually Conrad Roy III. His father and his grandfather both had the name Conrad Roy.
Conrad Roy.
He was born in 1995. At 18, he had actually a pretty cool occupation at that young age. He studied for 3 months, and apparently he took a shitload of night classes to get something called a marine salvage captain license. So basically, whenever a boat capsized or sunk or like crashed on the rocks or anything like that, he would be the one to pull the boat out of the water and collect all the salvage.
Cool.
And it actually sounds like a pretty involved thing because you have to learn about scuba diving and you have to learn about operating like a boom and a tow like in the middle of the water and all kinds of stuff.
Pretty skilled work.
Boom and tow's no biggie.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how to use a boom and tow. I don't know what a boom and tow are.
Yeah. He graduated on the honor roll.
A pole and a rope.
Yeah, ever since the year, I guess he committed suicide in the summer, but the school year before he made the honor roll, so he was one of the top students in his class. He was also a big athlete, and he was involved in rowing, basketball, and in track club.
Oh, he was pretty hardcore involved in school.
He was known to be a big achiever, and his parents say that he always had kind of mischievousness to him. And they always said that he would never start the trouble, but he would continue the trouble if it started. Another thing that was in his life is he struggled with depression and anxiety most of his life. He went through many different therapists and counselors, doctors, medications, and none of them seemed to help him all that much. He was really struggling despite a lot of professional help. Maybe they weren't getting through to them, or maybe they weren't accessing him properly, but... At age 17, so 1 year before his suicide, he attempted suicide by overdosing on acetaminophen, which is Tylenol.
That's hard to overdose on.
And that's a really bad overdose death.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
He survived that, and he made it through. Here's a short clip just to give you a sense of who Conrad Roy was. This is him talking about his mental state and his opinion on basically life as he knows it about 1 month before he committed suicide.
Hi, this is Conrad Henry Roy III, reporting to you about what's going on through my mind, what's going on through my head the last few days. So it all started off just, I'm trying to do too much to better myself in so little time. Like studying vocabulary words, trying to relate TV shows, movies, sports figures, cars, like, I don't know, Twitter phenomenon, like real life situation, not real life situations, like current events, or what's going on in the media. Because that's what people like to talk about. People generally like to talk about things that are going on. In the media. And what I am doing is I'm looking at myself so negatively. Looking at myself, minuscule little particle in the face of this earth. It's no good. Trash. Will never be successful. Never have a wife. Never have kids. Never learn. But I have a lot to offer someone. I'm introverted, nice and caring. That's some benefits. I'm a nice kid. But it comes to a point where I'm just...
A little bit about Michelle Carter. So they say that she was helpful, optimistic, and a do-gooder. She was voted most likely to brighten your day during trial.
Sounds like a nice lady.
Yeah, like
but
even...
she's not.
Even when she was on trial, yeah, and it was a highly publicized trial, so her image was all over the place, and people were judging her, and her public image was very low, and even in that time, her school still voted her most likely to brighten your day. School invited her halfway through her trial to finish her senior year, even though she was on trial for manslaughter. So it seems like she was well liked in her town. July 13th of 2014, Conrad Roy was found in his truck dead in a Kmart parking lot. The police at the time considered it a standard suicide via self-carbon monoxide poisoning. A little bit about carbon monoxide poisoning is 35 parts per million, you get a slight headache. At 200 parts per million, you have a loss of judgment. At 800 parts per million, you have dizziness, nausea, and convulsions. When you hit 1600 parts per million, a severe headache starts to come in, and you get an increased heart rate, and you get death in 2 hours. The level that Conrad Roy had in his system was 3,200 parts per million.
Whoa.
Death would have likely occurred in about 30 minutes after being in that environment, so it took him about 30 minutes to die.
That would suck to take that long to die.
And there's a lot of information out there that say carbon monoxide poisoning is a very gentle death, and a lot of people choose it because of that myth.
I don't know. I've seen animals die of carbon monoxide poisoning. It doesn't look fun.
Yeah. The reality is it's a very uncomfortable and painful death. Carbon monoxide binds to the hemoglobin in your blood.
Okay.
And your blood, I guess the hemoglobins slowly start to lose the ability to absorb oxygen. So even though you're breathing and even though you're taking breaths in and out, the oxygen isn't getting to your body, so you're suffocating while you're still breathing. It also causes lipid paradoxation in the brain, which means all the fatty acids that are in your brain begin to detach from the cell walls that make up the brain cells. So your brain just starts to slowly liquefy as all the brain cells start to pop.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's a very confusing, painful, horrifying death because you're suffocating while slowly going insane as your brain melts.
And if they do manage to get to you before you die, I mean, it causes permanent paralysis. Like it's pretty serious.
Messy.
Stuff.
It sounds
yeah.
messy.
Yeah, and that's what causes death. Is at one point your brain becomes so melted that even the lizard portion of your brain that controls heart rate and automatic breathing, that malfunctions and your heart just stops. It's not getting that signal from the brain anymore. On a whim, an officer that investigated that accident scene decided to be thorough and check the texts on his phone. The police were ready to just label it a standard suicide, not investigate it any further, but one cop decided to do the thorough thing and check the phone, and he found a whole series of texts that horrified him. And he found a text from this Michelle Carter girl that seemed to be planning with Conrad, encouraging him, and even scolding him on days that he made excuses not to commit suicide. And we'll read through the text logs in a bit. In 2012, so the history of them, in 2012, Conrad met Carter on vacation in Florida. They kept in contact off and on, sometimes not speaking for weeks and months, and sometimes texting 200 times a day.
Oh my God.
Anytime that Michelle's friends would ask her if Conrad was her boyfriend, she would deny it. She would deny it openly to them. And they only actually met in person about 3 or 4 times over 2 years. There's a lot of speculation that she never really was his girlfriend, that she was stringing him along and didn't actually consider him to be a boyfriend. And that's important because of how she acts after his death. Let's go through the text conversation. So there's 3 parts that we can play. So somebody has to be the narrator, somebody has to be Michelle Carter, and somebody has to be Conrad Roy.
I'll be Michelle.
Alrighty. So I'm going to be reading the narration portions to give context.
All right. And I will be Carter, and Leon will be Roy.
In one texting conversation, she consoled Roy that his family would come to accept his suicide, later adding,
I think your parents know you're in a really bad place. I'm not saying they want you to do it, but I honestly feel like they can accept it. They know there is nothing you can do. They've tried helping. Everyone's tried, but there is a point that comes where there isn't anything anyone can do to save you, not even yourself. And you've hit that point, and I think your parents know you've hit that point. You said your mom saw a suicide thing on your computer and she didn't say anything. I think she knows it's on your mind and she's prepared for it. Everyone will be sad for a while, but they will get over it and move on. They won't be in depression. I won't let that happen. They know how sad you are, and they know that you are doing this to be happy, and I think they will understand and accept it. They will always carry you in their hearts.
Oh, thank you, Michelle.
They will move on for you because they know that's what you would have wanted. They know you wouldn't want them to be sad and depressed and be angry and guilty. They know you would want them to live their lives and be happy. So they will for you. You're right. You need to stop thinking about this and just do it. Overthinking always kills overthinking.
Yeah, it does. I've been thinking about it for too long.
Always smile. And yeah, you just have to do it. You have everything you need. There's no way you can fail. Tonight is the night. It's now or never.
In another exchange, Carter told Roy, who had attempted suicide 2 years earlier, not to be afraid of another attempt.
If you don't think about it, you won't think about failing. You'll just do it, and then thinking you'll succeed.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. I read so much about failed attempts gone wrong that it's gotten me discouraged.
Yeah, exactly. So stop doing that. There's more successes than there are failures. You have to look at it that way, and people only fail because they have the same mindset as you, thinking they'll fail.
I really want to believe you.
Why don't you? You can't think about it. You just have to do it. You said that you were going to do it. Like, I don't get why you aren't.
I don't get it either. I don't know.
So I guess you aren't going to do it then. All that for nothing. I'm just confused. Like you were so ready and determined.
I'm going to eventually. I really don't know what I'm waiting for, but I have everything lined up.
In another conversation, Carter seemingly pressured Roy amid her own frustration that he had delayed committing suicide.
Well, I guess that I am frustrated. Just because you always say that you were going to do it, but you don't. But last night, I know you really wanted to do it, and I'm not mad. Well, I mean, kind of, I guess. Just because you always say you're going to do it, but you don't. But last night, I knew you really wanted to, and I'm not mad. You're not joking about this or bullshitting me, right? I just want to make sure you're being serious. Like, I know you are, but I don't know. You always say you're going to do it, but you never do. I just want to make sure tonight is the real thing.
Prosecutors also say Carter helped Roy devise the plan to use carbon monoxide to kill himself. In one exchange, Roy proposed siphoning the poison gas from his truck's exhaust pipes into the cabin. Carter endorsed the idea and advised him on specifics.
Yeah, it will work. If you emit 32,000 parts per minute of it for 5 or 10 minutes, you will die within half an hour.
Parts per million?
Parts per million of it. Sorry, I'll start again. Yeah, it will work. If you emit 3,200 parts per million of it for 5 or 10 minutes, you will die within half an hour. You will lose consciousness with no pain. You'll just fall asleep and die. You can also take a hose and run it from the exhaust pipe to the rear window in the car and seal it with duct tape and shirts so it can't escape. You will die within like 20 or 30 minutes, all pain-free.
She also advised him on the location.
Don't do it in the driveway. You will be easily found. Find a spot.
I don't know. I'm thinking a public place. If I go somewhere private, they may call the cops.
Well, then someone will notice you. Do you think you will get caught? I mean, it only takes 30 minutes, right? Just park your car and sit there. It'll take like 20 minutes. It's not a big deal.
In another text, Carter suggested other methods of suicide if carbon monoxide poisoning didn't work.
Oh, okay. Well, I would do the CO. That honestly is the best way. And I know it's hard to find a tank. So if you could use another car or something, then do that. But next I'd try the bag or hanging. Hanging is painless, and it takes like a second if you do it right.
On the morning of July 12th, she suggested Roy commit suicide during the day and again pressured him to follow through.
Are you going to do it today?
Yes.
Like in the daytime?
Should I?
Yeah, it's less suspicious. You won't think about it as much, and you'll get it over with instead of wait until the night.
Yeah, then I will. Like where? Like I could do it any enclosed area.
Go in your truck and drive in a parking lot somewhere to a park or something. Do it like early. Do it now, like early.
Like, why am I being so hesitant lately? Like 2 weeks ago I was willing to try everything, and now I'm worse. Really bad, and I'm not following through. It's eating me inside.
You're so hesitant because you keep thinking over and over and keep pushing it off. You just need to do it, Conrad. The more you push it off, the more it will eat at you. You're ready and prepared. All you have to do is turn the generator on and you will be free and happy. No more pushing it off. No more waiting.
You're right. Okay, I'm gonna do it today.
You promise?
I promise, babe. I have to now.
Like right now? And you can't break a promise. And just go into a quiet parking lot or something.
Later that afternoon, Roy sent Carter a text reiterated no more waiting. After traveling to the beach with his family and buying his sister's ice cream, Roy said he was questioning how to leave the house.
Are you gonna do it now?
I just don't know how to leave them, you know?
Say we're gonna go to the store or something.
Like, I want them to know that I love them.
They know. That's the one thing they definitely know. You're overthinking.
I know I'm overthinking. I've been overthinking for a while now.
I know. You just have to do it like you said. Are you gonna do it now?
I still haven't left yet, haha. Leaving now?
Okay, you can do this.
Okay, I'm almost there.
This was the last text from Roy to Carter, sent at 6:25 p.m., although she called him and talked to him for over 45 minutes after he saved himself from his first attempt. It's thought that he got into the truck and began to feel the nausea symptoms of the carbon monoxide poisoning, and then he got himself out of the truck when that started to overwhelm him. It is thought that not proven that she encouraged him to get back into the truck and listen to him die, because she was on the phone with him for over 45 minutes. She sent a few messages after he is thought to have died. The prosecution and the defense disagree as to whether these are genuine or a cover-up. 19 p.m.
Wait, so this is serious, right? The thing is on and running?
9:19 p.m.
Please answer me.
9:20 p.m.
I'm scared. Are you okay? I love you. Please answer.
10:38 p.m.
You're at your dad's. Camden told me. I'll get you help soon, I guess.
10:38 p.m.
I thought you actually did it.
In a message to another friend months after the team's death, she admitted she thought the suicide was her fault.
His death is my fault, she said. Like, honestly, I could have stopped it. I was the one on the phone with him, and he got out of the car because it was working, and he got scared. And I fucking told him to get back in, because I knew he would do it all over again the next day, and couldn't have him live the way he was living anymore. Fuck, that was fucked up.
That was a bit dicey.
Like, there's a lot of people out there, like, as long as people have read the text, there's a lot of different opinions that can be had, but I found that people that knee-jerkingly said, oh, she shouldn't have been in trouble for telling him to kill himself and all that, usually those people are the ones that have never read the actual text.
Yeah, because she pretty clearly was goading him on and on, like, hey, why haven't you done it? Hey, it'll be super easy, but you need to do it. You need to do it.
It seems like he wouldn't have even been considering it, or at least not considering that method had it not been for her cajoling.
Right.
And something else that makes her suspect is her behavior directly after. So 3 minutes after she hung up the phone with him, she started texting another boy she was interested in her school, so a guy she was going after, and a few of her female friends. And she was texting them things like, so worried about Conrad, I don't know what happened to him, he won't answer my texts. Where are you, where are you, where are you, and all that. And she immediately started to text a lot of people she knew to try and get attention. Mm-hmm. She then started to try and get into Conrad's family and started to contact them. Conrad's little sister received an email from Carter saying, Conrad didn't kill himself because of bullying like you and everyone else assumes. I know the real reason.
It's because it was her.
Yeah, and that's sent to the little sister of somebody who just committed suicide.
How heartless.
Pretty fucked, yeah.
So this is a message that Conrad sent to Carter. I pray every night that I will wake up and be happy again. Through you, babe. She tried to get the family to send the suicide note over.
Oh my god.
Or he wrote a suicide note in a spiral notebook, and she demanded that the family hand it over to her. On September 13th, so 1 month after Conrad's suicide, Michelle Carter planned and put on a Homers for Conrad baseball charity in her hometown. And when a few people on Facebook started to share the charity and started to promote it themselves, so they thought, hey, they're raising money, I'll help her promote it. She was caught messaging them, saying things like, I just don't want people thinking you planned it because I did. So she wanted the credit.
Yeah, that's sketchy.
And she posted on Facebook over and over again things like, I'm sorry I couldn't save my boyfriend, but I want to work to make sure not one more person commits suicide. I want to work for that cause and all that. And she played herself as the...
like a martyr.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lost ex-girlfriend who's going to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody ever again.
It's a good cover.
Yeah.
That's yucky, though.
Yeah. She raised $2,500, another activity she did, and people don't know whether this is genuine or whether this is a cover again. She, over and over again, texted Conrad to let him know what she was up to and that she was talking to his family, and because the family had his phone, they would receive all these messages, and they say that she knew that.
What, like... psychopath, sociopath? We should do an episode on that.
Yeah.
Because she was clearly one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, and she constantly put herself into Conrad's family. So during the funeral arrangements and during all those activities, she wanted to be part of the process and she wanted to help plan when the family really didn't want her to be involved because...
I can't imagine why.
They didn't even know who she was. This was...
some random girl that he'd met 4 times.
Yeah, he only met her 4 times, and they only texted on and off. And it was only recently that they started to text really heavily. She barely knew him, and it was likely... I don't think that she was his relationship.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if she had these baseball tournament planned. All these things she was going to do...
after he's dead?
To cash in on his death.
Yeah, I wonder.
Was he just the linchpin she needed for the rest of her happy little life of martyrdom?
Yeah.
Yeah. On October 2nd, Conrad is questioned by the police. And we'll have a link to that video. She's very worried when the police ask for her cell phone because she knows they can get the text logs on there. And... she is caught texting her friend with her other phone that she's very worried that the police have this phone. That would brought into the trial.
Oh, Lord.
Because the public opinion was so against her side, she voted to have a bench trial, which means the jury is taken out and the judgment is left just up to the judge in the room. Mm-hmm. Because her lawyer thought that they couldn't put a jury together that was untainted.
Well, that's fair.
Basically, the 2 arguments boil down to the prosecution say that Michelle Carter lured Conrad in and convinced him to kill himself in order to get the attention and to play the role of the dutiful girlfriend. The evidence for that is the text messages of planning and convincing him and pestering him to kill himself and scolding him when he made excuses not to.
Yeah, that was tough to read.
Yeah. And another major piece of evidence is her admitting to her friend that I told him to get back in the fucking truck.
Yeah.
the judge makes that a major part of his judgment, that the fact that she told him to get back in, she knew that the environment inside the truck was toxic, and she was ordering him to get back in.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that judgment was because it's thought that Conrad may have already had some effects and loss of judgment from the carbon monoxide poisoning, so it's basically a clear-minded person taking advantage of someone whose brain has been damaged to some degree.
Yeah,
compromised. The defense was saying that Michelle was tired of him being suicidal, and she was trying to snap him out of it. So she was trying to drive him to the brink in order to make him see that it's not what he wanted after all.
That's not how you go about doing that.
No.
Yeah. And their defense was she thought that she was going to make him realize, and she never thought in a million years he would actually do it.
She seemed pretty clear on what she wanted him to do.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I completely buy that. Like, she seemed very concerned with making sure nobody catches him or interrupts him and making sure that it's a solution that works.
Right.
And if you're just, like, why do you need details like that if you're just going to ask him to go to the brink and get scared?
Exactly. Like, they planned it.
Yeah, and the evidence they have for that is mostly the post-death texts, where it seems that she is texting, calling him over and over again. You said before, Leon, that you were on the fence about this. Did anything that we talked about today push you to one side or the other?
Yeah, it was what you just said, that the judge considered that he was out and she ordered him back in. That bit tipped it back for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was always on the side of, like, she was goading him. There was no trying to fix him about those texts.
Yeah.
Like, reading them out loud. Like, I've read them before, obviously, in my head, but having read them out loud today,
yeah,
it's kind of brought them home for me about how twisted this girl was.
Yeah.
And it's sad because she obviously has some sort of something going on.
Yeah.
Something else that recently happened that was surprising is Amanda Knox came out of the woods.
Oh, Amanda Knox.
And defended Michelle Carter.
Amanda Knox's support for Michelle Carter comes as a surprise. She doesn't defend Carter's actions, but sees Carter as she sees herself, a victim of an unjust legal system.
The media called Amanda Knox angel face. The Italian legal system called Knox guilty twice for killing her roommate until its highest court overturned the verdict. Now in the court of public opinion, Knox is rushing to Michelle Carter's defense. When I was on trial for murder in Italy, the media tried to paint me as a femme fatale. She writes in an opinion piece in the Los Angeles Times. So it was with a sickening sense of déjà vu that I watched the prosecution attempt the same trick with Carter. Knox argues Carter may not be innocent in a moral or philosophical sense, but she was wrongfully convicted of involuntary manslaughter. And that in holding her responsible for Conrad Roy's death, Knox says we ignore the mental health factors that lead to suicide, and we learn nothing about how to prevent it. After her own wrongful conviction, Knox says she contemplated suicide while in an Italian jail.
I don't know, I listened to what she said, and I read it line by line. I read Amanda Knox's quote line by line, and I just don't think she has a very good argument. Her argument basically boils down to, I was put on trial in Italy, and they said that I was sexually promiscuous, and that's the reason I was guilty in Italy. And to be fair to her, that's a very common tactic that's used by a lot of prosecutors, because they know that the public's opinion of women who sleep around is low, as tragic as that is. So they try and sully people's reputation by painting them as sexually active and promiscuous. And Knox is basically saying because they attempted the same thing on Michelle Carter, that the trial is null and void. And I think that's ignoring the reality of what happened there. Just because you were painted as a femme fatale in Italy, and Michelle Carter was painted as a femme fatale here, doesn't mean that the facts of the case are totally different. Amanda Knox was trying to say that Michelle Carter was another version of her that just got tied up in something crazy and she didn't know what she was doing. And
I don't think so.
How old was she?
Amanda Knox?
No, Michelle Carter.
She was 17, I believe, when Conrad Roy was 18.
They're babies.
They are, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Your brains aren't even developed then.
No, and if anything were to put me on the fence, it would be the age. Because I'm trying to think, like, what is my mental capacity when I was 17? I mean,
I was an idiot
when I was
17.
20, I was doing shit that's completely unacceptable for me to do now at the age of 32.
Yeah.
So, if you were the judge, I know none of us have the legal backing to correctly answer this, but just from a gut feeling, if you were the judge, what kind of punishment would you lay out on her? And I'll compare it to what she actually got.
It depends on how much value you put on, is her life destroyed? For a narcissist, getting the attention of a court trial is not necessarily going to be a bad thing. Yeah, her life is ruined, but look at all the publicity she got.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that if that is her personality type, that would be a good thing. So you have to punish the shit out of her.
Yeah.
If it was me on trial for that, heaven forbid, I think I would probably kill myself. Honestly, that's my back burner response for any sort of major trauma is, well, don't worry, I can kill myself and that'll be okay.
Get a little control back. I can't argue with that. Yeah.
Exactly. So no, I honestly don't know what the right sentence would have been.
Yeah.
I would say manslaughter, 5 years out in 3.
I forget the exact charge.
That's what it would be in Canada.
Yeah.
Future Ood will put the exact charge right here. Hello, past Ood. Michelle Carter got 15 months in prison for the crime of involuntary manslaughter. She got 15 months as a punishment.
That's not. I don't think that's enough.
Did she serve all 15?
I believe it was time served.
Wow.
Because the trial took a little over 2 years, I believe.
Holy shit. I used to work with Corrections Canada, and I worked with a very high-profile case in Vancouver. And the man that I worked with bludgeoned his friend to death in front of a really fancy schmancy country club. He bludgeoned him 25 times or whatever. He got manslaughter, and he got 5 years, and he was out in 3.
Was that a plea bargain that he got manslaughter?
Well, he's a defense lawyer now. I'll tell you guys about it after. It was quite a high profile case, and I almost adopted his cat. And
I guess the part that swung me over to be completely against her side is the 45-minute call, because they did the calculations with Conrad's body weight and all that, and they figured it would take him 30 minutes to die.
So just sat there and listened to him die.
Yeah.
And that's no different than someone bleeding to death on your floor and you being like, well, I haven't bled to death yet. I'm not going to call an ambulance.
Yeah.
And that was part of the judge's ruling is in that time, you could have easily called emergency services. You could have, as soon as you got back in the truck, you could have easily called emergency services, and you didn't.
Yeah. I wouldn't give it a second-degree murder.
No.
But for sure, manslaughter, 5 years, out in 3.
5 out in 3, I'm good with that.
That's what I would have given her.
And I've read a couple blogs for just some hidey-tidy lawyers that want to argue about it, and the general opinion is that words have been used to put people in jail for a long time. Like yelling fire in a crowded theater or threatening somebody with death. Those are both sentences that carry a sentence with them.
Yeah, totally.
And they say that the context or the form of the language doesn't matter, that speaking a death threat is just as bad as emailing a death threat or texting a death threat. So,
right.
Well, that's how 17-year-olds communicate, is through text, right?
Yeah.
I don't even answer my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm 30. Don't phone me. Email me or text me, because if you want me to kill myself, that's the way you'll get me to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's any listeners out there that have totally opposite opinions and you can nicely conduct yourself and give your argument, then feel free to email us or leave us a voicemail. We'll definitely read it on the after show. And
even if you can't nicely conduct yourself.
Yeah, if you want to tell me to
I want to hear it.
Yeah, if you want to say fuck off every second sentence, I'll still read through it.
Tell Ood to go fuck himself. You can email it to me. I'll relay it. SageMurrayOV@gmail.com.
I used to be a bouncer, so call me every name in the book. It's all right.
Yeah, he can handle it. It won't hurt his feelings. Or you can tell me to fuck off. It won't hurt my feelings either. Yeah. I have 2 feelings.
But when
hungry and happy.
But mine are very delicate.
Yeah.
Your feelings are very delicate?
Kinda.
Oh, mine aren't.
Don't
email Leon to tell him to fuck off. Email me, and then I will nicely tell Leon to fuck off.
Thank you.
I just have one.
Isn't that a racial slur?
Is it? I've been saying for years.
I'm pretty sure it's a racial slur.
Fuck! I'm an asshole. Again, I'm an asshole. Okay. I'm going to correct that. I'm going to pound that out of my head. Okay.
I'm going to Google it, but I'm pretty sure it's racial slur.
Okay, so anyways, that's the end of this. Do you guys have any last thoughts on that?
That was a really interesting case, and I'm glad that you decided to do it.
Yeah, I like cases where it's not black and white. So there's going to be a lot more. Yeah.
We should roleplay some more.
Yeah, I liked reading that. That was good.
Well,
I felt like we had chemistry. Like, I was really telling you to kill yourself.
Like you were trying to tell me to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a major bias towards recent cases because there's more text, email, call logs, and stuff like that. So there'll be more role-playing in the future.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Once again, I've been Ood.
I'm Sage Murray. I love you.
And I continue to be yours truly, Leon Filger.
And our palate cleanser for this episode is by the artist Nutmeg with their song, There's a Bee in My Bonnet, Hello, Hello.
There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. Would you be my song and I'll be your sonnet? You be my chair and I'll surely sit on it. I'll bring the gin and you bring the tonic. A bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. I think that you're smashing from head to toe. I'm telling you this just so that you know. If I am the raven, will you be my crow? A bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. Please be my cheese and I'll be the biscuit. The lock you gave me last night, how I kissed it. I hope you don't mind, but I thought that I'd risk it. A bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello, a bee in my bonnet, hello.
Well, it's the last show of the year, and there's nothing left to do except pay homage to 2017. Trump's first year in the White House, and we discovered that, yes, even somebody who has no idea about anything can become a politician, so that gives hope to idiots everywhere. Democracy died. We found out that the Russians are neck deep in our voting system. That London high-rise fire happened. In 2016, we found out all our favorite actors died. And in 2017, we found out they're all fucking sexual assaulters. So that's great. At least we're weeding them out. But still, the fact that so many people were hidden for so long is horrifying. 71 people died because some bigwigs didn't want to put fire retardant building materials or sprinklers into a high-rise with a bunch of people in it, and everybody burned. Hurricane after hurricane hit the coast, devastated Texas, devastated Florida. California is burning like a cinder, and that's on top of the drought that California has. We set a new world record, or a new record for the biggest mass shooting with Las Vegas, and dick all has been done about gun control about that. It was all we should do something, but we're not going to. North Korea's testing weapons. The fucking Nazis came back. What the fuck are the Nazis doing back? I thought we took care of that in 46. This year needs to go fuck itself, and I'm gonna pay it the homage exactly how it deserves to be paid. First with the 2, the 0, the 1, and last but certainly not least, the fucking 7. Not so lucky now, are ya? Thank you for indulging me in my tantrum-like destruction of the past year. I hope to see you all in 2018. Don't drink and drive on New Year's, and you know what? Have a nice night.